And we are on. Welcome, guys, to the Beyond the Wrestling Gear podcast. I'm here with Mr. Kevin Michaels. He is a filmmaker who created the mockumentary on Andy Kaufman and his foray into professional wrestling.
Yes.
Andy,
Thanks for having me, David.
you're welcome. You're welcome. And of course, we were just talking about Andy Kaufman and the filmmaking. What did he get involved in? What was his genre? His preferred area in professional wrestling.
Well, he envisioned the World Intergender Championship, and that he would bring women up. He would offer $1,000 prize to wrestle women, and this was quite controversial. And he did it on TV, and then he went to college campuses, and actually did it many, many times, and didn't always win, which must have been quite a sight.
Man, he must have lost so much money.
Yeah, and he didn't know what he was getting into, which is quite often with what people do.
Well, we're gonna definitely have to get into more on that. So we don't just talk wrestling. We go beyond the wrestling gear.
That's right. And I'm here with Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler, and of course my friend Howdy Doody. And we'll be talking about a lot of great topics the last 40 years of what sort of became a thing, intergender wrestling. And it's some great stuff. And I hope you join us.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I hope to see Andy Kaufman. Is he here with us today?
Yes, Dave, and he'll be maybe he'll come to your territory. You never know.
Yeah, I want to see him just to eventually get him down to wrestle, and do our thing.
Well, maybe you just put that challenge out. You say, Andy, David Figueroa wants to come and see you, and maybe you have to defend the honor of Florida. You never know. I don't know if he's so keen on Florida. New York and Florida have
we'll just have
rivalry.
to see. I mean, we'll definitely have to talk about this. So let's get this show started.
Yeah, we got a lot to hash out.
Ring the bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
Awesome.
Thanks,
I like
man.
that.
I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you.
You actually gave me a good idea. I might actually start doing that, where they can cut their own promos and add them to the show. That's brilliant.
That's great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks again.
It'll add more of a personal touch to it.
Yeah, and then you'll have those promos. You can have you're listening to Beyond the Wrestling Gear.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and we'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll put all this together, and then I'll post it out for you.
Yeah, when do you think the show will air?
I'm trying to do it where it's like weekly. So the first one will be October 7th, and then yours will be October 14th. So it'll be every Monday.
Oh, perfect. Thanks so much, and stay in touch.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have to, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll come down there at some point. Ask the powers that be if they want to run any films. Sometimes they'll do that. Some promotions.
For sure. And you have a good one. Be safe, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a good one. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Beyond the Wrestling Gear podcast. I'm here with filmmaker James Michaels. James Michaels actually produced a mockumentary about Andy Kaufman in the world of professional wrestling, and it's been shown across the U.S. as well as the Palm Springs Film Festival. Welcome, Kevin.
Yes, no, great to see you, Dave. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on because like I mentioned earlier off camera, I watched the mockumentary itself and I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I have so many questions to delve into about that mockumentary and just my first one to you is how did you come up with the idea of coming up with this and how did you get a hold of those contacts in the wrestling business to kind of take part of it?
Well, this all started, there used to be a thing called the Andy Kaufman Awards that they did in 2013, 14, and it was run by Michael Kaufman, Andy's brother, and they were doing that in New York. And that was sort of like a stand-up comedy festival. And at the end, they would give out an award, the Andy Kaufman Award. And Kristen Shaw won it the first year. I think it was the first year. And many comedians participated, and everybody wanted to not be the next Andy Kaufman, but really kind of honor, uh, his memory and so forth, his legacy. And I got familiar with Michael, and we had Chinese food, and we started talking about what was next and how do you continue. And we started talking about this as Spinal Tap, those sort of documentaries, and we compared notes on projects I was working on, things he was doing, and at that time he was working on that Netflix special, which was the Jim and Andy documentary, which took a long time to finish. That was the Jim Carrey documentary about him making Man on the Moon. So that he was sort of working on that, and it was like, what's going to continue Andy's legacy? And we got into a great conversation. I just told him I love that style of mockumentary, like This is Spinal Tap or Best in Show, Christopher Guest. And I always thought that was great. And I knew a few of those people. And I said, well, what if we just teamed up Andy's friends and said, and write the whole piece out and do some improv and of course, include professional wrestlers. That was, that would say something about Andy. So some of it is interviews and some of it is skits and some of it is just plain fun.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how you included a little bit of everybody in there, not just, wrestling, but just comedians in the business themselves that knew Andy. And just like I like the twists and turns, some of it was positive, some of it was like out of this world. Like as I was watching it, I was the segment that caught my attention that I thought was really hilarious is how he cut a promo on the women in Tennessee and talking about they don't brush their teeth, they're unkempt, and I was sitting there laughing like oh this is good, this is how you get heat, for people to really like get attention to you, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was mailing those tapes in. He lived in Hollywood, and he had the pool behind him, and he would come. So he looked like a Hollywood star, right? That was the persona. But they just ate this up, and to show that on TV weeks in advance of the match, yeah, it did create a lot of heat for sure.
how,
And you
how
can
did the
imagine
net
at that time,
how did the
40
network
years
take it?
ago. Yeah.
Like the how did the networks take it when they aired it on TV? Did they feel indifferent about it, or they're like, man, this is really good, we'll just keep it going, you know?
Yeah, but it made the Memphis news. Everybody knew about it at that time apparently, and they had their version of Monday Night Raw, so they were able to play these tapes, and it infuriated people. I mean, Jimmy Hart told me that it really did the trick when it came to just hearing about anything. Just this whole. Of course, Andy loved the South. He was just you know, doing that for fun and making making a spectacle of himself. because he came from Long Island. He wasn't somebody who came, grew up in Los Angeles. He was a guy that just loved the idea of like somebody coming into somebody's town, and they still do it to this day, you know, be viewed as an outsider, and that always and the fans ate it up, and of course for Lawler that was perfect, you know, he was the South, so was Jimmy, you know, somebody was the
Yeah,
king of the South. They don't want somebody coming in there, so they played it for all it was worth.
yeah. I thought it was perfect. The fact that they executed it and everybody got a rise out of it, and then also Andy was trying to be so far ahead of its time because, as I mentioned earlier, um, women's wrestling wasn't really there, so it was fairly new to the industry. And now you see people like you know Vito was wearing a dress to the ring and wrestling in the ring, and then you have intergender matches and outside and some indie promotions like Lucha Underground. I would say TNA maybe somewhat as well. WWE is somewhat getting there, but they're not there yet. But they have Rhea Ripley, who's supposed to be the modern day China of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, I mean it's crazy how people are now just embracing it. That it's some people, the majority of the people are embracing it, not all, but the majority of the wrestling businesses.
Yeah, it's still controversial to this day. I mean, we're still talking about it, and everybody's got their opinion of how it's going to be done, when it's going to be done, plus what kind of belts, right? You this, to my knowledge, I don't think there's an official intergender championship. That was something that Andy was playing with. That was something he made up. But I guess eventually there will be certain titles and title matches. So we'll see in the future. I think it's going to be interesting
Yeah,
to
it'd be
watch.
cool. It'd be cool to see it. Like, I don't know if you saw the 24/7 championship, the most recent iteration of it, but you had celebrities winning it. You had women winning it. You had even a mascot. I think it was Marshmallow that came in full suit and he won the belt too. So it's like this is what people want
Is even a
comedy and
mascot.
wrestling too, you know?
Yeah, that's it's come a long way. But you can imagine 1982, this sort of thing, when people didn't even know necessarily even what professional wrestling even had in it. For Andy to come on TV and do it, this is some people's foray into wrestling, completely. This is what they thought professional wrestling might be about. This is the
Yeah,
first time they were seeing it, so it brought a lot of fans in.
people could use comedy in wrestling. Like, I mean, comedy helps a lot of people and it kind of brings a balance in the wrestling business too. It's not all serious.
Yeah, but, Vince McMahon Sr., he didn't think so. He didn't want to bring show business into it. That wasn't you know what I mean? That was somebody coming in and maybe making fun. He did, you know what I mean? He didn't respect those guys.
I mean, look at
And
people like R-Truth
yeah.
now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
R-Truth is a brilliant comedian. He's a brilliant entertainer in the wrestling business, and people he's underrated, in my opinion, as far as comedic wrestlers. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just so interesting to see how it's developed because people had to, I mean, how many generations is this in the last 40 years since Andy was wrestling? And just for it to blossom in the way it did, and the fact that people watch the film Man on the Moon and they get to see it, they're not even so sure it's even real.
Sorry about that. That's my dog in the background.
How many
Anyway,
dogs do you have, Dave?
I just have one, a Maltipoo. Yeah, yeah, just
That's
one.
cool.
He's a little rascal. Yeah, like
That's great.
you know, it's pretty. It's like I said, it's pretty cool seeing the evolution of comedy in wrestling, and I hope to see more of it, like in general. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of humor in wrestling, a lot of pathos, a lot of drama. Um, just I mean, think about the sport today. What a bunch of wonderful people that are involved, creative people,
Yeah,
and
everybody in all kinds of
it's open to
backgrounds.
everybody now. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Do you
everything you can imagine.
do you think that Andy Kaufman would have thrived in today's business?
Oh yeah, you think about with social media, what he could have done. A video like you were just talking about, hey, have you heard of soap? This is how you use soap. You lather it up and all that. He knew how to play the heel. And today he'd be on TikTok. I'm sure he'd be a huge star. Just on his own. He wouldn't even need to be on a big sitcom. Just on his own, he'd probably matches would be on Netflix. Uh, it would be. I mean, think about it. Fit right in. He was so ahead of his time, but he would probably be going toward, I don't know, new heights. Who knows what he would be doing? Who would he be wrestling? You know, it's possible. Maybe gorillas. Who knows? Who knows what he would be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen him in today's product. The fact that it's more open and more accepting, people would have been eating it up.
Yeah, and I would love to see what some people, get. A lot of people are inspired by Andy, and they've built on it. And it just amazes me that you could do it in those days when you didn't have the resources, and all you could do was go on the David Letterman show, you know, months and months in advance. It wasn't this instant culture, and to
Speaking
promote
about
things, so far in advance,
yeah, like
must have been
speaking
must
about
have
Andy
been
Kaufman in
really interesting.
general, he didn't just revolutionize wrestling and comedy, but he was a part of I think he was a part of The Simpsons, right? So did he also get the idea of bringing wrestling into The Simpsons? Because there was a few episodes where a few superstars were in the shows. Or am I talking about
Right.
the wrong
So,
the wrong person?
well, the thing is, I think that after the movie was made, the Man on the Moon was made. I think Andy came into a different. First of all, that was people's entry point for the just to see like what he was doing. But I think he became sort of pop culture at that point. So he's been on everything, and it's really interesting that he makes an appearance. And the people that I talk to um, just love him. But remember, he only lived to 35 years old. So some people say, and but some people also say that he's still out there. So that's also a controversial thing.
Did he ever receive like I mean before social media it was very hard to get death threats out there, but were people like some people were like out of this world, they wanted to like get him, or did he ever get into like a situation where he felt threatened because of people that were not accepting of what he was doing?
Absolutely. In fact, he had to sneak out the back door at the Mid South Coliseum for that same reason. Yeah, just like today, fans got riled up. I don't know if they necessarily wanted to harm him, but you know what I mean. He wasn't going to take the chance. You never know. I
So
don't.
when
I don't think they
you know, yeah,
necessarily were
it's
going to
like
do anything. Yeah.
did you and that pile driver that he took was it a because people there's mixed opinions about it. Some people were like he legitimately got hurt, and some people were like, oh, he's fine. Jerry was you know took him down and he was fine after the match. W-
Right. Have you watched the film of the match?
Yeah, I watched it, but I wasn't sure how
What's
to how
what?
to react to it. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
whether it was a safe uh drop or was it did he actually get hurt? Because there's a lot of opinions
Well,
on
let's
that.
think about this. Lawler puts you in a he puts you in a pile driver. That's pretty much right. That's
Yeah,
you can kiss your ass goodbye after that. But remember, it wasn't just one pile driver. It was actually two.
yeah, it was multiple. Yeah, multiple.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you know this. The pile driver was outlawed at that time. You weren't allowed to use it. So
Oh, that's right.
Andy
Yeah.
wins by disqualification, and then here comes Lawler, puts him in the second one, and that's wild. That's wild. To have two back to back. You wouldn't even see that today. It wouldn't happen. And of course, they took Andy, but he definitely looked out for the totally out to me.
And I feel like, do you? I mean, this is your opinion. Do you feel like Andy was warranted the Hall of Fame spot in the WB Hall of Fame?
Meaning what?
Do you feel like he did enough to where people were like, man, he revolutionized wrestling the way he did what he did, and he's there now. I mean, I feel like he did. I feel like he's warranted that position, where he's at, because he did enough, you know.
Right. Did he earn his spot, do you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be in
Absolutely.
the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah, in the history of in the history of wrestling, yeah, because so much came after, and he took a lot of chances to be there. This wasn't the It wasn't the thing to just come walking into the Mid South Coliseum and headline. You know, this is something that Lawler took a shot on, and it's a good thing he did, but not every territory would have allowed that at that time, and I can imagine, it just wasn't done. So yeah, it was historic, absolutely. So he made a great contribution to it. I think people look fondly on it, and thank goodness that the matches are out there. There's the movie that Lynn Margulies made that's called Out from Hollywood that has the matches on it, and it's a great thing that they documented it, so people can see for themselves what really happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like women's wrestling, women wrestling men, or men wrestling women is always going to be a controversial topic, whether you're in this generation, the previous generation, the generation after ours, So
Yeah,
the
I'm wondering. I would love to know what your listeners think about that. Men wrestling women. Um, it definitely is a hot button. It's very political right now,
Mhm. Yeah, it
and
is.
wrestling fans. I mean, like you said before, wrestling fans are ready for anything that's new, and
And they're very
we'll see.
vocal. Yeah.
Very vocal, and especially now, like sometimes even a little bit divided. So
Hmm.
I'd love to know after we do this, like, love people to say in the comments what they think should be, shouldn't be. It's great, and a lot of women in the sport are pretty much ready for anything. And the woman that we had in our film, she's a great professional wrestler. Her name is Heather Monroe, and she did a great job, like, doing all the things that we needed her to do. You know, she's dreaming of being the next Hulk Hogan. So I think women are very inspired by those who have come before, for sure. And boy, do
Yeah,
they
and
train like hell.
they do, and now and they can wrestle too.
Yeah. Now, when you were watching the film, did you know that Heather was going to be able to do a match, or like, she's dreaming about doing a match? But did you think that we'd actually see her in the ring?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Like watching her wrestle. Like, it's like nowadays you see a lot of people that aren't in the wrestling business that get into it, and you notice that they're a natural at it.
Right. Absolutely. Uh,
Yeah,
there is sometimes that you know I mean, I've been a lifelong fan, and there's sometimes things have really surprised me. You know, especially all the hybrid sports that came up, and the UFC. I know Joe Rogan talks about that a lot, how things change. But it stays the same. It's people are deadly serious about that. So was Andy, and he didn't think that he even necessarily could do it, but he wanted to do it, but he wasn't going to just come in and do it. Just fly in on a plane and wrestle Lawler. I don't think anybody in their right mind would want to get in the ring with Lawler.
Oh, and
Even
he's
today.
like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm committed to this.
Yeah, and I wouldn't challenge him even right now. I would be deathly afraid to go into the ring, and especially if he gave you a hold and said, "Okay, put me in a headlock. Let's see where it goes from there." That seems like it's an insane thing to do.
And I mean, I myself, if I could have the opportunity, I would love to step in the ring and just take even the smallest bump just to see how it feels.
You would?
I would step in the ring just to see how it feels to take a bump. I've just because they've told me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's rougher than what it really is, but I just want to experience it just to see what it feels like.
So is this a challenge? Is this a challenge from you to Lawler?
Oh yeah, I would do it just to see how it is. So
All
Jerry,
right, I
if you're
think you
if
should
you're
make
out
the.
there, buddy, I want to see like one day just to step in the ring with you and see how it feels.
All right, why don't you make your formal challenge right now to Lawler? Right now.
Right?
So
Uh,
Jerry is watching.
hey Jerry, I know we've met at River City Wrestling Con earlier this year, and I'm here with your friend James. And if you're ever back in town, like in Florida or something, I'd love to meet you and get in the ring with you and see how you know, what it feels like to be in the ring with a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be interesting. I think this is something that you need to post for sure.
Right? Because I have, 'cause people are like, I have cerebral palsy myself, but there's people in the wrestling business with cerebral palsy, that have wrestled, that have become managers, you know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so it'd be pretty neat to meet him, and one day, who knows when we cross paths, but it'd be pretty cool.
You never know when he comes to your town. So that's pretty bold. I congratulate you.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
That's history.
you gotta, you gotta, as they say, you gotta shoot your shot, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, and when I met him, he was really down to earth, and he's very artistic.
And he owns a Batmobile, a
He
real
what?
one. He has a Batmobile in his garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like from an
and
actual like
he's
film
paraded
or?
around. Yeah, he's paraded around Memphis with it. It's
Wow, that is awesome.
yeah. Now to me, Jerry is the real life Batman.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see
He's the
it.
coolest. He's the
So
coolest. Yeah.
James, you've been around the U.S. Showing this mockumentary, especially the Palm Springs Film Festival. How have people reacted to the film? What's the reception been like?
Well, yeah. First of all, it's Kevin, by the way. It's Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't know why I thought it was
Um,
James.
what's been the reaction? Well, here's the interesting thing. So Palm Springs is a fairly large comedy festival. They have great people. They just had Kathy Griffin on. It's a pretty high profile thing. So to honor Andy in this way by showing the film, and I say honor Andy, I take myself out of it. Um, we did a fantastic Q&A with, do you know Rock Riddle, Mr. Wonderful, Rock Riddle?
No, I don't. I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, he's in the a Hall of Famer, and he came on with me, and we were talking about Andy because he goes back to those days. He was wrestling in the '70s, and we got into a discussion at the festival just about all these kind of things. And then at the end, I was like, Rock, if you keep shooting off your mouth, we're gonna have to take this out in the ring. We got into a couple disagreements, and I challenged him. I said, Rock, we're friends, up until a point, and this is not done at a film festival usually, but things get heated, and
I can
he's a
imagine.
great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy, and Jimmy Hart, he's still out there doing great things too, and Hulk Hogan, he's they're all still around, so you can always still get your chance to climb in with them.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about, wrestling and coming together is you meet so many different personalities, and of course, sometimes people don't agree with a lot of things, but hey, and when it comes to this world circle, that's how a lot of things are solved. If you're angry at someone, climb in the ring and you know, get it done, get the business done, right?
Well, absolutely, and think about everybody's talking about male versus female every day, right? We talk about that because of the election and everything. Um, this is something that you know what I mean. It's like we never know like what's going to happen in the future. We never thought that a man would run against a woman in real life, right? I say in real life because people have posited it, but now we got the gender war again, and we're going to solve it one way or the other.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And did you ever end up getting in the ring?
No, I haven't. I like to think that people are not out there that want to do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
know,
you
I
were
know.
saying before.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine who was actually a filmmaker, and he trained with a lot of professional wrestling, got in the ring himself. And he said it
Oh
was
wow.
a it's a real experience. He did it for 2, 3 years for Chicago style wrestling.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Maybe filmmakers will soon be doing this on the regular.
Yeah,
You never
and
know.
he said it was a surreal experience, and I asked him about what it was like taking a bump in the ring, and he's like, it can be brutal. It's not like you're training for a normal sporting event. It takes a lot out of you, running the ropes, doing the high risk moves, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you. Yeah. If anybody was serious, they'd have to take years of time to pursue it. There's a lot. There's some
It
great
is.
and there's some great people out there. There's great trainers.
It is
So
great
anybody
trainers,
wants to
and
enter the sport, yeah,
yeah, you just have to be
they're
committed to
welcome
it.
to
Like
it.
if you say you want to do it, you gotta put forth 110%.
Well, totally. Well, you know the story about I mean, even Hulk Hogan, the first time he stepped into the ring, or one of the first times he stepped in, into the ring, they broke his legs. They roughed him up a lot, and they basically said to him, if you come back in one piece, okay, then we'll train you. So they were
Yep.
testing people's metal for sure to see if they even what I mean. It's like you had to have body, soul, spirit, everything, to be a professional wrestler. And there's a lot, uh, and there's injuries too. I mean, when people start out, so yeah, you got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and I don't know if I told you about this experience at River City, but I met Abdul the Butcher, and I was on my scooter, right? I was riding my scooter around, meeting wrestlers, and he looks at my scooter and he says, "You young man, you stole my scooter!" And he started like mouthing off, and I went up to him and I met him, and we just started, having a casual conversation. He's like, "Yeah, I want to take a picture with you," and so we took a picture together with him holding the fork that he would use, as a signature trademark. And then all of a sudden he ended up cutting a promo. He's like, I want to challenge this man in the ring for this scooter. like right now, and it was pretty awesome. And I'm like, he's like, where do you want to do it? He's like, we'll do it in Puerto Rico in 2 weeks' time. And I told him, if I see you next year at River City, just know we're gonna have to square up. You called me out, you know? Yeah,
And
so it
that's
was
how it
pretty cool.
starts, right?
Yeah, and his manager was
That's how it
right
all
there.
begins. I
Yeah, and
know
his
it.
manager was there, and she was really sweet, and it's surreal seeing a legend like him there, but he's doing a lot better. He's struggling a little bit with his health. I mean, he's now in a wheelchair, confined to a wheelchair, and from years of wrestling, and but he seems pretty happy. He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, it takes its toll. But if you look at any of these guys, right, you can see the battle scars.
Hmm.
This is it's a serious sport. It's not to be taken lightly,
Yes, and
and you can
Les
see
Luger
what
was there
people put
too.
their body through for this sport.
Yeah, they put themselves through a lot.
They go through hell. Yeah, yeah.
Well, well, Kevin. So I was gonna mention also uh Vito a little bit. I met my buddy Vito at River City Wrestling Con. He's wrestled for WWE, ECW, TNA, and underneath promotions. He wrestles now as a Don, but during the early 2000s, he was wrestling as Vito but with a dress. And so he had mentioned that a lot of people, when he's on interviews, podcasts, a lot of people ask him about that gimmick and what it meant to him, and he said he pretty much enjoyed it because it really brought a different perspective of professional wrestling to the audience.
Right. That must have been quite a spectacle. Yeah. I mean, that's like sort of brings to mind, Tyrus from Fox News.
Oh
He
yeah,
used to come on with the feather boa and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, he's a giant. I don't know if he's 6'7", but you know, you're 6'7", you come on in a tutu, people are gonna notice.
oh yeah, and Vito is a pretty big guy that you don't really want to mess with. And for him to come out in a dress, that takes a lot.
Yeah, if I saw that, I would be have some second thoughts about getting in the ring with him.
And he's a pretty down to earth guy. Like outside of the ring, he's very respectful and I was at River City earlier this year, and I was gonna get into because I was a part of the media, to do the interviews and whatnot for the event, and they even though the founder of the event invited me and I was a part of the list, the staff in the front was like, "No, you're not on here." And so I called the founder, and then apparently I heard that Vito told him, "Hey, let this guy in. We know who he is." And he let me in, and then I went up to thank him, and I said thank you. And then next thing you know, a few months later, he follows me on Instagram, and he's like, "Hey, we're friends now." So,
Oh, perfect. So you had a
and that
great time?
yeah, I did. I got to meet the Godfather. I got to meet Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Um, I
Oh,
got
wow, he was
to
there.
yeah, he was there. The Hardys were there. Um, I wanted to meet Lex Luger, but he had a big line, for his signing.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Simmons, I met him.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there was a
sounds like it was
lot
a
of
great show.
yeah, it was a lot of people. It's a whole, they had an indie show going on too in the event, and Sting was there, but he had his line wrapped around all the way outside of the building.
Wow, wow, Sting. Yeah, everybody still loves him.
Yeah, and I got
Why
to I got
not?
to see him like walk right by me. So I was surreal seeing that, the Legends thing, and all the security was around him, trying to protect him.
Hmm. So, what is your favorite era of wrestling, Dan? I'm curious.
Favorite era? It's not this one, that's for sure. I would say between the late '90s going into the Attitude Era. So I'd say
Okay.
90. I was born in '91, so I started watching wrestling around '97, '98.
So NWO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I
a
love that
great
era.
time. Hollywood Hulk Hogan when he turned heel is amazing.
Yeah, that was unexpected. People were like, and not seeing it. And I did watch the Monday Night War documentary where he kind of talked about it. It was more like last minute when it happened, you know?
Yeah, it was a great time. And of course, The Rock coming up at that time.
And you see The Rock
Wonderful.
now, he's like full mega heel now that he's part of the board of directors
I know.
for the WWE.
I know. Pretty wild, huh?
And now there's no Vince, but that's a whole other episode waiting to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Well,
shame. Yeah.
he's been he makes all these comebacks, and I'm always happy to see him. And I've
Yeah.
seen some great matchups.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
seeing The Rock that he's still active, with the crowd and still active in the ring, you got to enjoy it while you can. And John Cena, he's going to retire next year in 2025.
I know. Be interesting to see, if Andy had wrestled in all these different years, like who would he have faced? And it
Right, I
probably
would have
would have
loved to,
been somebody like,
I would have loved to have seen him as a
yeah,
guest celebrity on one of the shows,
yeah, with
like they used to do.
Steve Austin versus Andy Kaufman. You can imagine, right?
Oh yeah, that would
That
have
would
been
have been
that would have
insane.
been hilarious, right?
That would have been insane. Yeah,
Or against
but
like Umaga,
yeah,
somebody big
right,
and fearful, where he would just throw comedic acts during the match just to mess with them. Like
right,
bring out the red bullhorn, the towel, and just try to mess with him. Be like, hey,
absolutely.
hey, look, I'm here, and he goes like chases after him.
Yeah, there would be a lot of shenanigans. I'm sure if Andy was around today. I'm sure I'd be still at it in some way, you know. But who knows? Maybe Andy will make a comeback. We never know. People say he's still out there.
Yeah, the
So
legacy
maybe
is
one of these
still out
days.
there.
Mm-hmm. You never
Well,
know. So if he's somewhere on a mountaintop meditating, maybe Andy will come down and join us.
yeah, and
That's
he'll
what I'm
he'll
looking
he'll
forward to.
he'll wrestle. He'll wrestle one more match. Maybe he might come in and wrestle.
Yeah, yeah. One
Well,
more
well,
match. That's a good way of doing it. Yeah,
well, Kevin, where
yeah.
can a lot of my listeners find your work?
Oh, I'm on Facebook. That's the easiest way to grab me. And we're going to be doing screenings coming up of Kaufmania, and they'll be streaming. And it would be interesting to see what people think of something like it. It's like a mockumentary because it has that thing. But I want to tell everybody Andy was deadly serious about professional wrestling, and he
Oh
didn't take
yeah.
the sport lightly,
Mm-hmm.
and earned his place in the Hall of Fame. And
Yes,
so
and
I think about him every day, and I you know pray that people think about him in that way, because this is something that's so important to, especially for today, that people are coming in, the young people that are coming in look at Andy and say, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it.
that's right. Yeah, he
So yeah,
definitely
you
turned
can you
some.
can find me on Facebook.
And then, are you having
Absolutely,
any
and I'd love to
screenings
continue the conversation.
in Florida?
I would love to come down to Florida. If you have a suggestion of of folks that want to have me down, I'd love to come. And we can, anytime that it's safe to do so, I would love to come down and see
Yeah, that'd be
everybody.
pretty cool. So I can get to meet you, in person and just really talk about the film and just I love meeting people that I get to chat with on the show, and I've met a couple from my podcast in person, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you know any promoters that would like to do it, I would love to see everybody, and we can show some of the matches. Uh, I did a show where we showed a match and we pretended it was live. We showed a match from 1982, and we showed, Kaufman getting into the pile driver and everything like that. People still gasped. You watch that, it's something.
It still
It's
gets a
really
reaction.
something. The real thing, yeah. And they recreated it on Man of the Moon, and it was Lola was actually they recreated it, but not something I would want to do. I'm gonna stay on Lola's good side. I have to just tell you right here, right now.
Oh yeah, we got to because you don't want to mess with Jerry, especially because it's early in his career too.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Even now, he hears this. I don't want him to say, here's Kevin talking a lot of shit.
Right?
I don't
Hey,
want to get
what?
that text or that phone call.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, and hopefully I get to meet you one day in person, and and
Thank you, David.
just
Let's stay in
experience,
touch.
yeah, definitely for sure. And like if you and Lola are ever at an event, it'd be pretty cool to just be there and first experience and just hop in and be like, I'm just here just because I want to see this experience with Lola. So it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
could be like his Robin. We could drive up in the Batmobile,
right, right.
and I could be
Yeah.
dressed like Robin, just like Eminem does.
Like, look, it's Robin here and Batman, and so yeah, yeah. So thank
Yeah.
you, Kevin.
Well, thank you so much, and let's stay in touch. We'll keep
Yeah.
we'll keep yapping.
Yeah, and if
Thanks a lot.
anything, let me know, and I'll definitely post this up pretty soon in October. So you'll be the second episode of the podcast.
Thank you. Good luck with everything, and I'll be listening. Very excited that you started this, and all my best to you.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different because most of my my podcast is about disability, overcoming obstacles, and I'm a wrestling fan, so I want to do something like this, something different, freshen it up a little bit.
Yeah. So you get inspired by wrestling, right? I
I
can
do.
imagine.
I do.
I mean,
Seeing wrestlers like
yeah,
Gregory Iron, who has a cerebral palsy,
yeah.
Sticks
I was
has
gonna
cerebral
say.
palsy too. Zach Gowen, he's missing a leg, but he
There you
wrestles.
go.
You know.
Right. So this, overcoming the obstacles is something that what I mean, is really something that I've seen a lot of people do in the sport. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's serious business, and I think uh, shouldn't hold anybody back.
It should never. I completely agree.
Never. No. People, this right spirit and everything, and there's always a miracle around the corner.
Well, thank you again, Kevin, and we'll keep in touch. And if you guys want to watch this episode and listen to it, you can go on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and every other major podcasting outlet out there. And as always, until next time, and remember, we're not just talking about wrestling, we're going beyond the wrestling gear. This is your host, David, and until next time, have a good one, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. David, do you want to do the opening again or anything else? Is there anything you're
Um,
missing?
sure, we can do the opening again here, and I'll put it separately, so we'll do
Just
that.